Okay. James and Tammy, your Q&A session.
Yeah.
On a bumpy road, so it's like if it's doing like this, it's like it's Tammy's driving.
No.
And if the whole thing falls down flat, we'll lift it up and we apologise. All right,
some holes we're going over.
Rocky Johnson says they have a test now for a DM. They found it in French Bulldogs. Well, they've had a test for DM forever, and they haven't found it in French Bulldogs, so it's all a complete hoax. French Bulldogs can have DM, but they do not suffer from DM. So anyway, enough of that one.
Just your bigger dogs.
Is it okay to give my 5-week-old French Bulldog Royal Canine starter mousse if I mix it with Royal Canine baby dog food?
Baby dog food and Royal Canine mousse? I don't know. Yeah. How old is the puppy?
5 weeks.
Oh, yeah. It's time to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because you're going to graduate to harder food each time. I would get him off of the baby mousse and just soften the dog food. You can even grind it up in the mixer if you wanted to, but just soften the dog food and get away from
how do you soften
more and more. Hot water.
For how long?
Let it sit for about 30 minutes.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I would never introduce a dog directly to kibble from being on mum.
No, because it's too dry and hard for them.
Yeah, they might inhale it and swallow it. Yeah, so definitely you want to start, whatever you do, you want to do a transition from mama's milk to a soft food of some kind, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's no secret about Royal Canine puppy mousse. In fact, right now
it's real wet. And then if you want, you could add the goat's milk to it, make it like a gravy so they can lick it up.
Yum, yum.
That's the purpose of that moussey.
Sounds good.
They love it.
They do love it. They go ape over it.
Oh, they would eat and eat. Their little bellies just extend out so far.
Yes.
It's unreal.
So that's another good question. How much food do you put down there?
Well, you don't know when you have 5 in a litter.
Well, I'd say enough that they can consume it in about 8 to 10 minutes, right?
If you see leftovers, cut back every time. Mama will eat it, I promise you. You're not wasting it.
If you start to see puppies that have huge tummies, you're feeding them a bit too much. Let mama in there to finish it up. Make sure there's not any competition going on with mum and the baby, so be careful on that.
Always hang around.
But you can feed more often, less food than, we typically do with puppies, 2-3 times a day when you start out on this time?
Oh, yeah.
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 But, watch out for these extended bellies. It's not going to hurt them, but I mean, it just doesn't look right when you see a puppy where its belly is bigger than its head.
They enjoy their food.
Yeah, they love it. And the other point about this is the sooner that you can get them onto some kind of high protein food,
hang on to its real rough right here.
Yeah, the quicker you can wean mum off. And look, especially if you've got a big litter of puppies, then you can have some puppies in there not getting enough nourishment, and so they can. Sorry about that. Sammy accelerated so he didn't get killed.
Well, that car was coming pretty fast.
I know it was. Okay. Roads in Oklahoma need some work. Biden's going to fix that.
Oh. Don't hold your breath.
Infrastructure. Well, not this road. This road here. No, this road here is a kind of a country road.
Just leave this out.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, but what I was getting to the point here was, the sooner that you can start weaning puppies when they've got some teeth starting to show up. 3.5, 4 weeks.
Yeah. They got little nubs.
Yeah, right.
So 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, getting them weaned, because it's not going to do any harm. Mum can still be with them at night. She can still be with them, giving them milk too.
Gradually, because you'll make her try to dry up too quick, and she'll get mastitis.
That's a good point. Yeah, you don't want mum.
You don't do cold turkey because mama will suffer.
Right, exactly. So just pay attention to that. But the point here is mum's blow coats. When I say blow coats, they start to look really skinny. They look really pretty rough, and it's because they're making puppies out of themselves. So the puppy's got to come from somewhere, and if it's on mum, it's mum's milk. And if mum doesn't have enough milk, she's coming out of her. She will start losing weight and not looking very good. So the solution to this is get them weaned onto some soft food as soon as you reasonably can. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not going to say that. Oh dear. Corey Wood doesn't like us, so.
Oh, okay.
He says you're a prick, mate. Why encouraging breeders to create exotic colours? Cody, don't watch our channel.
Goodness.
Cody, just don't
an
watch
on and off button.
That's
just
right,
turn
Cody.
It off.
If you don't like it, we respect that. It's simple. Just don't watch the channel.
Everybody happy.
But if you're going to continue to say nasty things about us, we're just going to block you. It's simple as that. So anyway,
well, you just
Yeah, right.
Made him feel good, I guess.
Yeah, well, I don't want to make him feel bad. I mean, I'm sure he's a really nice guy. He's English because he called me a prick, mate, so he's an Englishman. I'm a fellow Englishman. Well, not anymore. I'm an American now.
Yeah.
Let's have a look here. This is Cute Bunny. Cute Bunny says... Tammy's driving, I tell you what. Laugh it up, sister. My Frenchie is a black and white pied. Her mum was a black and carries brindle. By the way, a black that carries brindle is a brindle. Pied and cream, and her dad carries lilac and cream. I'm hoping you can help me understand what dogs... okay, well... Yeah, I should have read this beforehand. Well, look, if you put a pied with a pied, you get all pied puppies. So that's it.
Make sure you don't have an extreme pied.
Yeah, all that sort of, yeah. So we've done some videos and some comments, some things about this. An extreme pied that Tammy's talking about is a dog that has mostly white on its body, very little colour, specifically very little colour on its face or ears. Those dogs, if they produce puppies like that, are likely to have poor hearing or maybe deaf. So you've got to be a little bit careful about that. Okay, but look, a pied with a pied, you get all pieds every time. If you've got a brindle there, you're likely to get brindle pieds. It's going to be the dominant colour out of it. So that's the most likely thing you're going to get. So we can't tell you much more about that. Oh, somebody's asking about where we've removed the puppy claws, dew claws, and then we sent them off for DNA. It says, does the nail grow back? No. If you do it right, it doesn't. Now, if you do it wrong, it will grow back.
Yes.
But the idea about doing it right is you are specifically we're not removing the nail for a DNA test. It's just convenient that we can do a DNA test with that material. There's other ways to do DNA tests that don't require that you remove the dew claws. Yeah. For instance, puppies that are nursing, you can't swab their mouths, but you can prick their paw.
Well, you can swab their mouths, but you got to take them away from mama for.
They say don't do it until they're 6 weeks old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's general genetics, you know. But what you can do is you can just simply prick their paws with a sharp needle. Yeah. Fresh one for every puppy. Just collect a little bit of it on the head of a Q-tip.
You'll get that DNA transferred over to the other.
If you share a needle.
Yeah, if you share a needle, you need to.
But to comment on your comment here, if you don't remove the nail, the dew claw properly, then it will grow back. And so the secret to this is to get the hemostat on the dew claw properly to remove it. And if you do it properly...
Well, you've got a video.
I've got a video. There's no harm to the puppy. It's very quick, and the puppy doesn't hardly... I mean, it might do a little squeal for literally half a second. This is one for Tammy. Can you breed two lilacs together to make lilac puppies?
Yes.
Every time. We guarantee it.
Like a cream and a cream. Straight cream and a cream.
If you've got two lilac puppies and you put them together, you will get lilac. Now, there are some things that could happen that would cause...
If the DNA is different on each one on the inside.
Well, what I was going to say is, let's say you had a lilac puppy that carried cream.
Yes.
Bred to a lilac puppy that carried cream. You would not see the cream in either of the lilac parents, but 1/4 of the litter would be creams. They'd actually be what we call platinums. They'd be lilacs covered in cream, and then you wouldn't see the lilac, but they are lilac dogs.
And that's the only platinum is only a lilac or a lilac and tan.
So let's say something to Renee Muro. Thanks for teaching us. You're the best on the web. Other dogs tell us no breeders like you. Yay!
Don't hit my hand hard. Don't hit it hard. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that kind of feedback. So we do work hard to try to give you good information. And it is not just about, you know, our trying to build ourselves up. This is about trying to build you up.
James started it by worrying about some of the questions he was getting from some people. And he thought, well, he'll start doing videos to help people out.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a lot of questions where people...
And he's got the gift of gab.
I don't know about that. Yeah, you say I talk too much.
Annette says you talk too much.
What do you think of Oxy Stud? So Oxy Stud, there's a whole line of Oxy products. Oxy Mama, Oxy Mates, Oxy Stud. They've been bought out now by, I think, Revival, maybe, or Chewy bought them out. But they're well-followed products. So the idea behind this is that you're trying to do something to increase a stud's virility. You know, the trouble with this is that I think that we've got similar products that are being used for humans, and it's questionable as to what the science is behind this. I don't think you can do any harm. So that being said, go for it. I don't know that you'd ever know that it was successful, because it's like when you go to the doctor and you go to the doctor, they give some medication, and then the symptoms go away. You credit that to the doctor, whereas 50 to 75% of the time it would have gone away all by itself. So, anyway, enough on that one. Someone's saying, can I make extender? That's a good question, because I've thought about this for a long time. In fact, I did make extender when I first started doing this. And the answer is yes, you can make extender. The problem is how are you going to know that your extender is any good? And the answer to this is that you've got to do a significant amount of testing. We sell Cannaplas that comes from Minitube. I've been using that product now for 5 years, and I love the product. I swear by it. For us personally, over 5,000 consecutive shipments without a failure in semen, and part of that is, of course, our shipmate product, but the other is married to a great extender, and I like their extender because it doesn't have to be frozen. You can use it directly out of the fridge by just warming it up. It has a 2-year shelf life, and it doesn't have any particulate matter in it, which I see as a problem. When I'm looking at things like what we call Kenny-based extenders that use skimmed milk or powdered milk, or egg yolk-based products, they're biologicals, so they can go bad. I don't like those, and my experience with those and my testing, it says they're nowhere near as good. So the answer is I wouldn't muck around with this. I think it's a mistake to try to, and I went down this path because I was spending a lot of money on extender, and I spend a lot of money on extender today, but I only sell one product, and that is Cannaplas long-term 10-day extender from, we sell it, and you can buy it from Minitube, probably buy it less from us. Swear by the stuff. I wouldn't muck around with this. I would go ahead. But a good question. And by the way, I really like this attitude that what can you do yourself? I think that the more things that you can take control over, the better you understand the process.
You know your dog better too.
Well, I mean, yes. And I mean,
yeah.
Look, I mean, if you start relying on other people, vets, me, that's where you could potentially get bad information. And so everything that you do needs to be followed up by that bullshit detector that says, oh, I don't think what I'm being told is right, I'm going to go find out about it. So look, the very fact that you are interested in trying to do different things, I think is kudos to you. That's the way you should be. We're going to the airport to deliver a puppy, but we're going to do one more on this before we get there.
Huh? My nanny calls, I gotta go right up there.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, good.
Yeah. Can't keep them waiting.
Ohio Kennel, 330 Ohio Kennel says, just recently had a breeding, didn't take. She was at 10 nanograms per milliliter on progesterone. I did an AI like always. I use a whole, she got the rod and everything. However, this was the back end of a split heat. Is it possible she didn't drop any eggs or the rod was too long? Okay, well, first let's just handle the rod too long business. No, you can't have a rod that's too long. Look, if you got a rod in that was too long, it means you've perforated something and it keeps on going, and that dog will probably die. So it just, you'd have to take a hammer to the end of it and just hammer it in. Look, think about this. If you take an AI rod and you try to push it through a steak, a ribeye steak, you just couldn't get it done. I mean, you could get it done, but it would take a huge
shove.
Yeah, I mean, the dog would go nuts. You'd know that you'd done something terrible. You'd probably get some blood discharge. The dog would probably turn around and quite rightly bite the crap out of you. I mean, the rod's not too long. That's not the issue here. The issue here is, did the dog drop eggs? Yes, the dog dropped eggs, but apparently not at the time or within a day of when you did the AI. That was the issue, it's a timing issue. And you specifically said this was the back end of a split heat. So there's your problem. So let's just talk for a few seconds about split heats. So a split heat typically happens in younger dogs that are, a year to a year and a half old. That's the typical split heat scenario, where their numbers start going up and then they stall out, and they go back down, then they go back up, and then a dog doesn't show any blood, and then 3 days later you get some more blood, and so on and so forth. you don't really know where you are. You've got to just keep on progesterone testing on these dogs. And my recommendation would be always, if you can, do a progesterone test after you think you're finished to make sure the numbers are 18 or higher. And if they're not, do another breeding. And that's probably the issue here. Probably the dog slipped backwards again. And so you probably, although you thought the dog had ovulated, in fact it hadn't. And then the other thing about this is be careful about the type of machine that's used for the measurements. If this is a mini Vitus, you have to almost halve those numbers. So on an IDEX, on most machines, we're breeding around a 15 for a vaginal AI. And on a mini Vitus, that's more like a 28. So almost twice the number. So pay attention to that, because you can absolutely get tripped on that. And I routinely get people who've gone to the vet to use one of my studs, and they come up with a number, and I see on the little report mini Vitus, and the vet hasn't told them anything about this. And so that's kind of worrisome, because, you know, you wonder whether the vet knows how to interpret, you know. And this is the last part of this whole video. The other thing about this is kind of disturbing, and I don't have a good answer for you, is if we say that something's in nanograms per milliliter, it shouldn't matter what machine it's on. It should be the same, because that is nanograms per milliliter. But apparently, it's not the same. And a mini Vitus does read higher, although they do interpret it as nanograms per milliliter, and they're not. So, I don't know what to tell you on that. That's just craziness.
We're here, Amelia Earhart Street.
Okay, that's it for this video. Hey, thanks for subscribing to us. We'd love it if you continue to watch the videos. If you think we've got things right, let us know. If you want more videos on other things, let us know. If you think we've got things